afternoon, Ini. Thank you for having me.
Great. So, this suspension of the T-bills auction, what does it mean? What does it signal? What are the regulators trying to achieve with this?
Okay, first of all, let's look at the communique that always comes out from the Debt Management Office of the Central Bank. They often say that their circulars or their calendars are subject to change. And former practice has always been that for Nigerian Treasury bills, you'd have standard 2 auctions in a month. So even on the calendar issuing and then letting us know that for this quarter, that there would have been 3 auctions per month was sort of like an anomaly. That signal to the market increased supply. So for them to have then suspended the auction that should have happened this week, and then it just follows into, so it just looks like they're going back to status quo. Indeed, the market is interpreted as sort of like a reduced supply, but we believe that the next auction demand is also still going to be sustained and it still affords the DMO the opportunity to, as much as they can, or raise as much money as they want to. We may also want to look at what has happened over the last 3 auctions in the month of July, where demand consistently grew. In the first auction on the 8th of July, there was about subscription for the 1-year paper of around 1.8 trillion, but the DMO sold in 935 billion. And then by the next auction on the 15th of July, demand was about 2.8 trillion, and they sold just over 1 trillion. And then the last one on the 29th of July, demand was over 3 trillion. So there's appetite for government securities, especially on the 1-year paper. And so it could also be that, so we could look at it from 2 ways. Number one is the fact that the suspension of the auction that should have happened this week, could be a reset from the regulator or from the issuer. However, I think more of the fact that it is just status quo, just returning to the 2 standard auctions every month. They're still able to, raise the amount of money they desire at those auctions.
So, because there's also the conversation that is this creating an artificial scarcity, to kind of give the regulators or the issuer an more opportunity to reduce rates, because we did hear that they had plans to reduce rates amidst the heightened or increased demand.
That could be, but the demand already tells a story for itself. From the data that I just gave, from the 8th of July to 15th of July to 29th of July, you find that, the stop rate have been dropping consistently. From the first 28th of July, 17.7% was where the one-year stop rate closed. On 15th of July, it closed at 17.66. And on the 29th of July, it closed at 17.35, on the back of the fact that demand increased at every point in time. So it could serve them that, if they pull back a bit, rates will drop, further down. In the secondary market, those bonds or those bills are already trading around 17.10%. So yes, there is sustained demand for these securities. And if they shift the auction to next week, I still think they would raise whatever they want to raise and rates will continue to drop.
So rates will continue to drop. Does it drive markets to the equities?
It could, but again, it's capital allocation. Some capital must come to the fixed income market, and given how the equities market has done already in the course of the year, what are the chances that it's going to even do much better? I think it's about 60% year to date. Do you expect it to reach 100%? Maybe not quite. Some people will be taking profit around this time, especially given that this is dividend season, so we could see a lot more capital still flow into the fixed income market.
Think that even the Dangote IPO can attract investors from the fixed income to the equities?
Oh, I think that's the bride of the year. That's what everybody's waiting for. We'll see a lot of interest in that space, and the year will probably quote and unquote close from there. So there'll be capital waiting. A lot of people are okay. That's another reason why people could even put money in fixed income or in short-term money market instruments, just keeping their gunpowder dry for the Dangote offer.
Well, Mr. Alimi, do you see any disruptions from political spending, political activities? Do you see any disruption to the markets?
So typically in a pre-election year, what we've always found, or what we know, is the trend that we've seen is rates are elevated in pre-election years. That's because government borrowing and spending is always elevated. And if we look at the trend this year, it hasn't bucked that trend. The fact that we're still trading at 17 levels or borrowing, or the government is borrowing money at 17 levels for the 1-year paper, tells that story that debt is, they'll continue to borrow. So we think, we don't see a significant drop in those interests. We're not going to drop to a 15% handle between now and the end of the year because the government still has to borrow. and they have to, fund the election. That's just the trend we've seen. So we don't expect any drastic drop. All this one are just what we call moderations. The market just moderating, and amidst excess liquidity in the system.
All right, Mr. Caleb Alimi, Chief Dealer at Providus Unity Bank. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ini.